Today I am going to discuss cursive functions which play a very important role in many of the optimization problems that we are going to work through. In particular, you would find that it simplifies a lot, you know, uh, the existence of the optimal. For cursive functions, we can directly say that there exists an optimal, and that actually simplifies our life a lot. So what is a cursive function? Let's first define it. A function, this is a definition which I am taking from um, uh, Bertsikas. Function f from set x to r, and x is what? X is a subset of Rn, is called cursive if for every sequence xk in the set X such that the sequence goes to infinity, or more correct way of saying is the length of the sequence goes to infinity. We have that limit of, the limit of k tending to infinity, f of x of k also becomes infinity. This is what I mean by a cursive function. So a very simple example of a cursive function would be, for example, f of x is equal to x square, univariate function. Or in general, x to the power 2n, f of x is x to the power 2n, n is a constant of course, and n is like 1, 2, 3, whatever. So fixed, whatever you fix it, let x square, x to the power 4, x to the power 6, and so on. So it's very clear that if you imagine a sequence xk here of scalars, okay, it doesn't matter whether it's positive like 1, 2, 3, and so on, natural numbers going to infinity, or -1, -2, -3 going, for example, to minus infinity. In both the cases, the length of x goes to what? It is 1, 2, 3, so on. It goes to infinity. So the number per se can have negative elements in it. I am not worried about that. I am only saying that the length of the vector goes to infinity. So in general, length of vector goes to infinity. Here, in case of a univariate thing, the magnitude of the number goes to infinity. Then limit of f of x of k goes. We need that limit of f of x of k also should go to infinity. So if you look here, where is the limit going? Uh, I'm sorry. The limit will be like, if I take f of x equal to x square, for example, then 1, 4, then 9, 16, and so on, it also goes to infinity, very obvious to this thing. So, and this is true whether the function, I mean, x is in this case going to minus infinity or x is going to plus infinity. Whatever it is, the length of x is always going to plus infinity, and because f of x is like x square, it also goes to infinity. So this function is a very trivial cursive function. All right, is f of x equal to x a cursive function? Is this a cursive function? No, this is not a cursive function. Why? Because if you look at this sequence, -1, -2, -3, -4, and you look at where f of x goes to minus infinity. And if it goes to minus infinity, that does not classify as a cursive function. Uh, to remind you, what no, when we say that this sequence f of x of k goes to infinity, what we mean is that in this sequence, you choose any m greater than 0, large enough. Sometimes this is also pronounced as big M, because like epsilons usually mean very small numbers. This is like 10 to the power 5, 10 to the power 6, whatever. Very, very large enough. Whatever you choose, you would be able to give a k greater than or equal to n such that all f of x of k would be thereafter uh, greater than m. So that means whatever large value you choose, after that all points there will be some threshold after which all points thereafter will be greater than m. Then this m can be 10 to the power 6, 10 to the power 7, 10 to the power 100, whatever, which means that the function is going to infinity. So such a function is called a Coursive function. Now, this is you can say a corollary of Weierstrass theorem, or uh, if I go by the nomenclature, the way Burtsikas has discussed the Weierstrass theorem, then this is also one of the versions of the Weierstrass theorem, which is to say that if X is a non-empty subset of Rn, all right, and f and let f be defined from x to r be continuous. Again, Burtsikas actually discusses it with the lower continuous functions, but I am, as I told you in this course, keeping it simple with continuous functions. Is lower continuous at all points of x, then assume that x is closed and f is Coursive, the function f is Coursive, then the set of minima of f over x is non-empty. All right. So actually, you can even show that it is compact, but I am restricting it to uh, in our class. I am going to restrict it to just showing that it is non-empty. But actually, you can also show that and compact as well. Can show that also. But let's just do let's just do this non-emptiness of it. So let me assume that there is a sequence zk from the set S such that limit k tending to infinity, f of z of k goes to infimum of this function f of x, or I will use the Burtsikas notation, f of z over the function f of z, and such a sequence has to be there, because if such a sequence is not there, then how would this be infimum? Infimum is the greatest lower bound, and it has to be if it's a greatest lower bound, it has to be approached by some sequence in the set S. And X is, of course, again you recall that it is a subset of Rn in general for us. So now we have a sequence which which goes to the infimum. Then, since the f is a Coursive function, since f is Coercive function, it means that ZK sequence must be bounded. Why do I say that? Why? Because if ZK sequence goes to infinity, to the contrary, if ZK sequence goes to infinity, then where will the sequence FZK go by the definition of a coercive function? It will go to plus infinity. But plus infinity cannot be infimum of a non-empty set. It cannot be infimum. Infimum could be minus infinity, come on, but it cannot be plus infinity. Supremum can be plus infinity. So therefore we can easily now say that ZK must be bounded. If ZK is bounded, then you know that by our earlier discussion on the sequences, that a bounded sequence has at least one limit point. So let's say that this limit point is x. So that means you can at least force some rule k on it, such which I have shown by calligraphic k, such that this limit point is x, and because capital X set is closed by this limit point must be in set X. It has to be either it is an interior point or a boundary point, but both of them are already there in the set S. So therefore this limit point is also in the set S. Now therefore if you look at this limit f of z of k tending to infinity, it will become, it will go to, where will it go to? It will go to exactly f of x. Why? Because function is continuous. So the zk is going to x by continuity. The function is continuous, then this will become equal to f of x of k. So therefore you got point x in set S which achieves the infimum. And what does that mean? It means there is a global minimum to a coercive function. There is a global minimum to a coercive function. Let's take now one example. This is actually example 1.1.4 from the Burtsikas exercise problem. And we have to show that 1 plus x is greater than or equal to 2 for all x greater than 0. So strictly speaking, it is a constraint optimization problem, is it not? Because you have a constraint that x should be strictly get greater than 0. But in many of these problems, there is a trick called the change of variables, which you can play and uh, uh, convert it to an unconstrained optimization problem. So can you think what is the change of variable that I should be doing in this particular case? Any guesses? All right. So in this particular case, I am going to say that x is equal to e to the power y. Why? In other words, what I am saying is y is equal to natural logarithm of x. So basically for every x is greater than y and x has to be greater than 0. So if you look to e to the power y and take y to the minus infinity, then you would see that e to the power y goes to 0. And if you take y to plus infinity, you will see that e to the power y goes to infinity. But will it ever go to 0? It will never go to 0 because it's only in the limit of limit y tending to minus infinity to the power y is 0. And all positive numbers can be in the x line will be mapped to this y. Now, for example, if you take a number like e to the power minus 1, which is a positive number, 1 by e about 1 by 2.73 or so, it's a positive number. The y is going to be minus 1. So what I am trying to say is that this mapping x is equal to e to the power y unconstrained, by y unconstrained means y coming from the real line, which is actually like minus infinity to plus infinity, in this y unconstrained leads to you to model this set x greater than 0, this open unbounded set can be modeled like this. Then with this modeling, what is f of x is taken to be 1 by x plus x. What is f of y now? You can define another f of y, or you could call it g of y. I'm just using the notation. I'm just using the notation f of y itself. This will become e to the power minus of y. And our equivalent unconstrained problem is minimize over y coming from the real line. So this is now a equivalent unconstrained optimization problem, is it not? This is now an equivalent unconstrained optimization problem. Now, first of all, does it have a solution? Incidentally, answer is yes, because f of y is a coercive function. It is a coercive function. Y tending to infinity, just a scalar, right? Y tending to infinity, e to the power y goes to infinity, e to the power minus y goes to 0. So where does the function f of y go to? F of y goes to infinity. Y tending to minus infinity, what happens to e to the power y? It goes to 0. Where does e to the power minus y go? It goes to plus of infinity. And so where does f of y go? F of y goes to infinity. So both y tending to plus infinity. So in other words, what we are saying is that modulus of y tending to infinity, f of y goes to infinity, which means that f of y is a coercive function and has therefore a minimum. And incidentally, this we are talking of global minimum. And I just want to warn you once again here that when we are trying to show an inequality like this inequality is also in the global sense. This is not in a local sense. So please be careful, just taking a differential to 0 and showing necessary or sufficiency conditions of local optimal will not automatically prove a global optimality. So just be careful about this particular fact. Such inequalities refer to global optimality. Okay, Now Weierstrass theorem has, because of the coercive function, we are now it has, we are easily able to say that it has a global minimum, and hence uh, hence to find that to find that minimum, evaluate the minimum, it's a differentiable function. So we will just set f dash of y to 0. That would be our natural next step, to set f dash of y to 0. And what will that say? E to the power y minus of e to the power minus y is 0, or e to the power y is equal to e to the power minus of y, which implies y to be identically equal to 0. There is no other solution to it. This solution is unique. And what does this give? This gives you stationary point. So you have got a stationary point, which is a requirement of the necessary condition is that for an unconstrained minimum, that it should be stationary point. And there is only one stationary point plus guaranteed global minimum by Weierstrass theorem. So when you put these two things together, what is the conclusion that you get? Indeed, we have reached the desired global minimum. Indeed, we have reached the desired global minimum. So then, what is x here? E to the power y. Since y is 0, what is x star? X star becomes 1. And so what becomes of f of x? 1 by x plus x. That becomes equal to 2. And this is the this is actually the minimum. So minimum of f of x greater than 0 becomes equal to 2, or in other words, for every other value of x greater than 0, 1 by x plus x will be greater than 2, and there is only one minimum, so it will be actually strictly greater than 2. So we prove the required inequality, that 1 by x plus x is greater than or equal to 2 for all x greater than 0. Now just want to be you to be a bit careful about interpreting when a function is coercive, just a matter of caution I want to give you here. Let's say that I have a function x1 comma x2, which is modulus of x1 minus x2 in a two-dimensional function. My question is it coercive? Many of you may be tempted to say yes, but that is a wrong answer. In fact, I should put probably this in a in a red line, that this is indeed a wrong answer. This is no. This is not coercive. Why? Because let's look at a sequence like 0 0, 1 1, 2 2, 3 3. In other words, what is the sequence that I am taking? If this is x1 and this is x2, I am drawing a 45-degree line here, and on this 45-degree line I am moving towards infinity. So what happens to mod of x here? Mod of x here goes to infinity, but what happens to f of x here? F of x remains identically 0. F of x remains identically 0. So, uh, so f of x of y, in this case f of x1 of x2 equal to x mod of x1 minus x2, is not coercive. So don't fall into this trap. What I am trying to tell you is, don't fall into the trap that, for example, if you can take a sequence 1 0 2 0 and so on up to n0, this sequence is a sequence which goes to infinity, and my f of x here also there goes to infinity. I have got one sequence which in which I have kept this to 0 and x1 coordinate I am taking to infinity. So f of x is goes to infinity, implies f is cursive, is getting any one sequence going to infinity and f going to infinity, f goes to infinity is a incorrect statement. The correct statement of cursivity is that for every sequence zk going to infinity, if f of z of k goes to infinity, then f is cursive, then and only then is f cursive. So if you go back here in this example of e to the power y plus e to the power minus y, which I have given you here, cursivity is established, no problem. F, there is only one variable y, it goes to plus infinity also, the function goes to plus infinity, it goes to minus infinity, whichever way, it also goes to minus infinity. So cursivity is established. But there could be functions like this where you may be misled into an idea that, oh, this function can go to infinity. I see the sequence which will take to infinity. Taking one particular sequence and the function going to infinity using that sequence is not cursivity. Cursivity is a much more stringent thing. It is that every sequence which goes to infinity drives the function also to infinity, which is not happening here. So with this little bit of caution, I think we will stop this lecture here. Thank you.